Why can't you talk? I think probably David is dumbstruck. But Kofi, over the period of the reign of the World Cup, I think that there's one continent that is synonymous with World Cup and winning. South America started with Uruguay in the 1930s, in the 1934, 1950s, 58, Brazil. It's been South America, South America, South America until I think the last time South America won it was in 2002, led by the Samurai Ronaldo. They won the championship. Since then, Europe has taken over. This time around, too, South America has a strong representation in Brazil. There's Argentina, there's Ecuador, there's Uruguay. Yes, there's no Paraguay. I think Paraguay have faded off, in the last 10 years. But let's look at the major competitors in the South American region and probably teams that we expect to go the long haul, at least the semi-finals. Brazil, Argentina. I don't know where you guys want to start from quickly.
Well, obviously, if you look at Brazil, they are benefiting from continuity and proper planning. TT has been coached for God knows how many years. He knows most of these players, you understand? Indeed, if you go back to all of the brouhaha surrounding the Brazilian team list and the selection, you realize that even when he dropped the final list against Ghana, there was talk about the fact that there's no Martinelli, there's no Gabriel Jesus. But people forget that it was the same TT who was the guy who brought Gabriel Jesus to the national team. Even when he was playing in Brazil, even when he was playing in Brazil, even when there was a section of the Brazilian media bashing him vehemently to drop him, he stuck with the boy. So this Brazilian team, I think that they've always had a history. They've always had a particular profile of players they look out for. They've always had a tried and tested system. So let's all wonder, almost every World Cup, they are considered to be one of the favorites. But you look through this Brazilian team, I think that for a long time, I've watched this Brazilian team, and this Brazilian team has so much balance. In the past, we could talk about Brazilian teams that were stuck with a lot of good forward players, yes, good attackers, good midfielders. But you look through this Brazilian team, I think it's a solid all-round unit. The goalkeeping, they are sports for choice. I mean, I am wondering how many countries.
Ghana, we need Ederson. We need Ederson.
If we could just swap Mana for Ederson, you understand? Even with the guy playing in the Brazilian league,
Weverton,
one of the fantastic goalkeepers.
The best Brazilian goalkeeper
exactly. I mean,
Brazil.
For me, you look at the goalkeeping department, you look at the defense, you look at the mix of experience and youth. Solid. You go through the midfield. You cannot overemphasize the combinations that Titi has available to him. He could work with a tried and tested partnership of Fred Casemiro, there's Fabinho, there's Paqueta. There are a lot of combinations that he could work. Forward line. They are spoiled for choice. Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, Neymar,
Pedro from Brazil, one of the best young players in Brazil.
Come on, I mean, you look at Richarlison. Richarlison is not that flamboyant Brazilian number 9, but he works for the system. And you realize that if you check his goals for Brazil in the last few games,
nobody has come to take away Neymar.
Solid. I mean, so this Brazilian team. Well, I'll be surprised if they don't get to the semi-finals because they have more than enough quality to get there.
Kofi is biased for Brazil, guys. If you're watching, Kofi has a crazy bias for Brazil.
Everybody watching us knows that I support Brazil during this tournament.
You don't support the Black Stars?
No, I don't support the Black Stars. In the 101 episode, the 101 episode, you would realize that I'll be wearing a lot of Brazilian jerseys. Samba yellow, samba blue,
samba green, whatever.
But speaking of blue, there's Argentina, so I'll be Celeste. And this is World Cup number 3, the pursuit for World Cup number 3. And you look at Scaloni and the path to which he's gotten this job. He was the outsider.
Yep.
nobody wanted to pick up the job after Sampaoli had left. Several managers turned down the opportunity because they knew the depth of expectation that was required. This man was just the under 20 manager. He had just won it with Argentina's youth in the South American region, and was very brave enough. He brought a number of the players from that team that won under his tutelage, brought a number of other players who, for some time, were outsiders. He's transformed this particular team. They're on an unbeaten run. They've got the guide of Lionel Messi, who's 35.
If 11 games, they're yet to taste a defeat, just 2 draws.
2 draws. If he plays all the way to the World Cup final, he'd break Lothar Matthäus' record for most appearances. Yeah. And there's a perfect balance. Yeah, Brazil have a balanced team. But if you look at Argentina as well, they have balance.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the goalkeeper, they've got Martinez. If you look in defense, they've got Romero. They've got
there's good old Otamendi
as well.
There's Marcos Acuna.
There's Molina. If you look in midfield, there are options. Yeah. Rodrigo De Paul. Yeah. There's Paredes.
Leandro Paredes, Paulo Dybala, Guido Rodriguez. Ezequiel Palacios as well.
And there's a Benfica boy as well.
Exactly. Enzo Fernandez is also there.
Who is one of the most sought after young midfielders in Europe. So you look at this Argentina team.
Let me run by you the attack. They look very scary. There's Lisandro Martinez. There's Julian Alvarez. There's Nicolas Gonzalez from Fiorentina, being very brilliant. There's Joaquim Correa also from Inter Milan. There's Lionel Messi and there's Alejandro Gomez. He leads the goal scoring chart for Sevilla. So every single attacker in there is somebody who has a reputation for the club they are playing for. You can talk about Julian Alvarez, but every time he plays for City, he scores. He's made a mark for himself. So, like I said, very well balanced.
And it will be hard to think of Argentina not making it to the final.
I think that what will work for this Argentine team over the other Argentine team is that I look at a similarity in 1986 squad that had Mario Kempes, Burruchaga, Diego Maradona, and this squad. Maradona carried the team throughout that tournament, except the final. The final, Maradona disappeared. Then, Mario Kempes and Burruchaga took over. There's a similarity with this team. If you realize, they are run up to winning the Copa Americas. They played for what is it called? Lionel Messi. You could see they were willing to that. Let's win something for this guy.
I don't know why people try to play out that particular narrative. They played for Lionel Messi.
There's a sense of unity. There's a sense of
why do they need to play for him?
No, but what I'm saying is that
is he a leader?
Well, that's another topic for
another subject for another day.
But if you look at this Argentine team, there's a sense of unity compared to the previous Argentine teams, and that's one thing that might carry them all the way to either the semi-finals or the finals, because
it will just be a matter of who would play Argentina.
They are playing for themselves. There's a sense of unity. So for me, the South American teams, I'm looking at Brazil and Argentina. Ironically, their paths might cross either in the semi-finals or anything. Then, because if you look at how the trajectory is, if France goes through the same path, France might end up in the final. They might meet Brazil or Argentina. It's going to be exciting if Brazil plays Argentina in the semi-finals.
That would be the World Cup final before the final.
Who will be the dark horse amongst the South African team? Before we quickly switch up to the Asian teams.
The Uruguayans will be the dark horses. I mean, because the Uruguayans have always been slow and steady. They have always made a mark, and yes, they have fading superstars, but I think that if you look at the Uruguayan team, they're a solid unit, like we previewed in the previous episode. I think they're a very solid unit. They still have very good experienced campaigners in there. If you have Cavani still doing the job at
let me help you with the squad.
Yes.
So the defenders, there's Diego Godin, there's Martin Caceres, there's Sebastian Coates, Guillermo Vea, there is Jose Jimenez, Matthias Oliveira, there's Jose Rodriguez, there's Ronald Araujo. Though he's injured, they named him in the squad.
He's actually been training.
Yes, there's Matias Vicinho of Lazio, brilliant, midfielder. There's Lucas Torreira, you mentioned him. There's Rodrigo Bentancur of Spurs. There's Federico Valverde. There's Matthias Wiener of AS Roma, and there is, there's a player at Manchester United, maybe you may know him, Facundo Pellistri, yeah. And the attack, there's Luis Suarez, Edison Cavani, Maximiliano Gomez, there's Nicola Varela Cruz of River Plate. He leads the goal scoring chart for River Plate. There's Darwin Núñez, and there's Facuña Torres of Orlando City.
The running theme in this particular squad is a blend of youth and experience.
Yeah.
If you look at in every area, so for example, the goalkeeper, there's Muslera, who is an experienced campaigner. They've got Rocher in there as well, who's a backup.
Sousa.
And in recent times, Rocher has been getting more playing time. They're trying to find that transition. If you look in attack, defense, you mentioned Diego Godin.
Yeah.
If you look at Godin, you look at Raúl, they're trying to model
a generation of the old and the young.
And the young. They've always found that way to blend. In midfield, there's Torreira, there's Bentancur. In attack, there's talk of the fact that
stop scaring the Ghanaians with the names. Stop scaring the Ghanaians with the names.
There's talk of the fact that we could have Suarez and Darwin Núñez lead the line, because if
Suarez, Cavani, Núñez all play
if you look
at some point.
Uruguay in the friendlies and in recent qualifiers, they've either played with the 4-4-2, they've either played with the 4-3-3, or tried a 3-4-3. So, and in all of this, they found a way to blend Suarez, Núñez, Cavani, either Suarez, Núñez, Pellistri. They've always found a way to bring all other ingredients in there, and everybody's forgetting about the Valverde factor.
Federico Valverde,
the star boy.
He's literally unplayable at this particular point.
Take away Vinicius, he's the Real Madrid's best player.
I agree.
And I feel he'll be that engine on which Uruguay would run on
in the middle.
Could go on to.
I'm envisioning a battle between Freddy and either Kudus or any of a party. Let's maybe get there. Amongst the Asian teams, quickly, we don't have time. You don't have the luxury of time.
I don't want to talk about it, but it will definitely come on as a subject when we preview
Fede
that Ghana versus
against either
Uruguay
Partey
game.
or Kudus, because he is going to lead that midfield charge for the Uruguay.
It will come up.
Yeah. So maybe when we get among to the Asian teams, so there's
Japan,
there's South Korea, there's Iran,
there's
Australia. They are representing the Asian region. Quickly, which of these teams do you think can at least make a push for the Asian contingent?
Well, Iran, solid.
Sure? Not Japan, not South Korea?
The Japanese are also... I think that all of the South Asian teams coming to the tournament are very well prepared.
Very unknown too.
People are closing an eye to the exploits of Asian football, but if you've watched them very well, they are not so blessed to have superstars at this material time, but what they do not make for in names, they do make for in terms of team cohesion, in terms of team balance. And so the Japanese have always been strong. I think that the South Koreans are a very strong team. The Iranians and Carlos Queiroz have been able to do a lot of things right, and they have some very good superstars. I mean,
Iran has played 16
games,
international tournaments. 16 international games in competitive tournaments under Queiroz in his first spell, and they kept 10 clean sheets.
Carlos Queiroz has always been very defensive minded, even at the start.
He's always been a solid coach. I mean, technically, tactically, solid coach.
That's an area where he would look to right now. They narrowly lost out on qualification in 2018, and Kofi mentioned the fact that they've got exciting players. You look at Bayer Leverkusen's Sada Azmoun, Porto's Taremi. He's done excellently in the Champions League. There's Ali Reza Jahanbash you'd have to look out for. These are players that could go on to have a successful campaign. If you take Japan, for example, they'll be counting on this Takefusa Kubo from Mallorca. He's done excellently. He's one of the rising stars. I feel he could have an excellent tournament going through. And for Korea, in as much as everybody is running around with Son Heung-min, I think where
they are a solid unit,
where they are a solid unit, where they have a team, it's at the back. Napoli's Kim Min-jae.
A quick one on him. I think the sporting director renewed his contract, and there's a clause in there that the fact that they've put in a release clause in there, the release clause is actually subject to an upward adjustment, trying to tell you the value they place just 2 days ago.
Solid player. He's almost made the going out of Koulibaly close to irrelevant.
So Asia, you guys are picking Iran to be that dark horse that pushes the Asian contingent. So guys, we don't know about you. this is our preview for the World Cup Qatar 2022. For the South American contingent, I think it's a unanimous decision. Brazil, Argentina will represent South America very well. I think that this year, South American team will win the tournament. If Brazil doesn't win it, I think Argentina will win it. They are very well placed to win it. We don't know about you. What do you think? Is Argentina going to win it? Is Brazil going to win it? Engage us in the comment section. As always, this is Sports 101. Subscribe to our channel. We are shooting at a beautiful bar at Red Mango Apartment in the Western Region, Takrady.